Welcome, everyone, to the Hotel Tech Unwrapped podcast series. The purpose of this podcast is to empower decision makers to make better decisions around their hospitality technology investment and achieve a greater return on that technology investment. My name is Denis Ahern. I'm the CEO of IMS. I have over 10 years' experience in the guest hospitality technology space. I'm here with my co-host, Helena Brien.
Thanks a million, Denis. Hi, everybody. My name, as Denis said, it's Helena Brien. I am the Business Development Manager here in IMS, but I am a former sales and marketing professional in the hospitality industry, and I've over 16 years experience. So I have brought that experience and my knowledge to IMS over the last number of years, and I suppose the understanding that we have of the complex ecosystem that is within hospitality, everything from the customer relationship management system, the property management system, revenue management system. There's a system for everything nowadays, and the costs that relate to that. So the idea is that we're going to delve into the technology area to help hospitality professionals gain more insight into what technology looks like, what it will do to enhance your customer experience, and best of all, what it's going to do to increase potentially your average daily rate, your RevPAR, and your occupancy. So what we might do is just kick off because one thing that's always blown me away at IMS is the partnerships that we have with our own clients. And one in particular that I think everybody will find interesting listening to this podcast is a partnership that we have with a hotel group where we worked with them to assist with increasing their scores on the online travel agent, an OTA, and what that in turn has done for that hotel group. And Denis, I would be delighted if you'd share with everybody what we did within that partnership and the results, the outcomes, the insights that our clients now have as a result.
Yeah, thanks for that, Helena. I think that point, though, you've just covered is really important. It's the scale of the ecosystem is insane. And obviously, since you've joined IMS, you've helped enlighten us in that here internally and then from speaking to customers as well. And I suppose, where did that journey start with that particular customer? Now, we have a few customers who are on that journey. So they're seriously looking at their guest feedback. Why is that? Because there is a lot of data points out there now. So, for example, Cornell done a study in 2019, which very strongly linked the level of your online reputation with your occupancy levels, your ADR, and your RevPAR. And, that's the starting point for this particular partnership with this customer, right? So they come to us, they say, look, we want to improve our online reputation. As you say, there's a particular OTA that actually shows the Wi-Fi score publicly. Now that OTA is booking.com, right? And what's important to understand here is that the Wi-Fi category is really the only category where guests can give you feedback in booking.com that you totally depend upon a partner for. So our customer came to us, they said, look, we want to find a way to move this score above 9. And as we say, it's really important because the higher this online reputation, the better the financial results of the business. There's also other data from the likes of Expedia, where 72% of guests are likely to book a hotel that has a high reputation online above, say, a brand or price, right? So again, and there's lots of other data points that we can discuss more of those later, right? So we looked with this customer at where they were at right now. So the first thing is to get that starting point in your data set and then build from there, right? So we looked at the booking.com scores and we said, okay, how do we move this? So there's a technical aspect to that, right? So it's looking at what do you have at the moment, where are your issues, what is the feedback from guests, etc. What properties are performing well, what properties need to improve, then get a bit more detailed in terms of those improvements, right? And we were able to make good progress with them in terms of that guest feedback. But what was very interesting after, we were a little bit into the journey, they layered on top their own customized guest reviews. So now they weren't just depending on third-party data, They had direct data that they were getting from their guests. They were able to customize those surveys. They were now able to split out Wi-Fi from other key technology categories and get feedback from guests on those other categories, right? So then it was super interesting because the Wi-Fi score went up straight away, right? So what does that tell you as a hospitality professional? If you only have one category for technology feedback, right, and that on the OTAs is Wi-Fi, guests will load all of their technology feedback into that category because they don't have another option. So when it was split out, you had other kind of key categories now available for feedback. Wi-Fi went up. You then got feedback about other aspects of the experience, such as TV, for example, which was much lower. And now this done two things. So firstly, it told the operator that their Wi-Fi experience is really good and it achieves the level that they want to achieve. But there's other aspects of the experience that they need to improve. So now they have a very pointed investment approach. So there's a lot of lessons in that for a hospitality professional. There's a lot of kind of principles that you can take and apply in your own business. But that's the journey that we're on with that particular one. As I say, there are others who are really, really chasing this as well. It's been a massive learning experience for us. And yeah, been an
Yeah,
interesting journey, you know.
I love how you touched on the Expedia study because what I'll do actually is I'll read, if you don't mind, exactly what that
Mhm.
study found. And it was 72% of cases, travelers will choose a hotel with a higher guest review score over one with a brand name or a lower price. For example, guests would pay 35% more for a hotel with a score of 4.4 compared to a hotel with a score of 3.9. Now, that absolutely fascinates me because ultimately, as a hotelier, you need to increase your occupancy, you need to increase your average room rate, and you need to increase your RevPAR, right?
Mhm.
But OTAs is extremely costly to drive traffic to your business, right? But it's also essential when you take into consideration the reach that they have. Now, working in IMS has taught me that you can use OTAs to your advantage to learn more about your customer, right?
Mhm.
And the guests and what the guest needs are. Now, you talked about Wi-Fi. I haven't come across a hotel that doesn't have Wi-Fi at this stage, but one thing that I do find very interesting is what happened next on that journey, right? And I sat in a conference room with you guys not too long ago, and I saw the incredible scores for Wi-Fi for that particular client. But then I saw the result for TV, and it wasn't great.
Mm.
So when I saw that, immediately I thought, well, if I was looking to spend money in the area of technology in 2024, because at the time we were talking about budgets, etc.,
Yeah.
etc., I'd be saying, well, if I invest in my TV solution, this in turn will increase my rankings on my OTAs, right? And ultimately, it should, as per the Expedia report, increase the revenue by 35%. Like 35% will pay more. Like
Mhm.
that for me, that's incredible, that number.
Mhm.
Absolutely incredible. So it makes sense to look to make the investment in the areas where you can see you're going to get you're going to get a return on your investment, right? You're going to see what the ROI is. Because like when I first saw the booking.com score for the Wi-Fi, when it was divided out, I was like, oh my God, like they can see what we're bringing to the table. They can see their ROI just from this.
Mhm.
But actually what it's now doing is it's telling them where they need to invest next. And I just think that's absolutely incredible that we can support our clients and actually assisting them on the guest digital journey. And like that is vast. It's
Yeah.
absolutely vast. Like it blows my mind. I feel like I'm learning about a new product every single week because
Mm.
it's constantly evolving. And like this is part of the reason why this podcast came about in the first place, because we've had so many conversations over the last few years, and it was very much around the challenges within the hospitality sector. And like I would have openly admitted that for me, Wi-Fi was Wi-Fi for such a long time until I realized what it actually can do for a business. and how it can enhance the guest experience and how it can help with increasing your rankings on these sites. And, it's not just a service because it's something you can't physically see. It actually is so important to so many people. Like, we'll go in the area and delve into what Wi-Fi actually is and what's coming down the road in podcasts that are coming, what casting is, the different types of TV solutions. Like, the whole point of this podcast is to provide hoteliers and the hospitality sector with further insight into what the guest digital journey looks like now, what it will look like in the future, where potentially you should be investing, and try and remove the complexity around technology. Because, like, I'll openly admit, Denis, you've heard me say it so many times. I'm not a technical person, and I am about the guest experience. Like, that for me is just what this is all about. And I always want to see the value in things. And I think this hopefully is what we will do in this podcast is showcase what the value is both for the operator and the guest.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason we emphasize Wi-Fi is not because we can deliver Wi-Fi ourselves, right? It's because it's the publicly available piece of information for anyone booking, right? And as we can see, that has a big impact then on the financial performance of the business. We will go deeper on Wi-Fi in another session. We will go deeper on that TV experience. What is the full scope of that? What can it be? What are the principles of delivering a great TV or guest room entertainment experience? And that key bit then, because that tech stack is so vast, the whole area of integration. So how do you integrate new technology into your existing tech stack? What are the kind of key things to make sure you address in that decision-making process? And again, this feeds then the idea for the podcast overall. And something that just, blew my mind actually when I was talking. They have a hotel with just over 100 rooms. And under P&L at the moment, they have a cost of over €100,000 a year for just support and licensing for their tech stack, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. That's no new investment. It's just support and licensing for that tech stack. It's over 100,000. And they would openly tell you there is systems out there that they would love to have. And they just can't find a way to justify the cost. And to me, it was like, wow, that is, that's an amazing cost to have in your business, right? And the right technology does cost. The key is, where do you invest that gives you the best return, drives those bookings, drives everything, So that is that's the challenge. I think that I have a massive degree of empathy for hospitality decision makers when it comes to technology. If you draw out the full ecosystem, Wi-Fi is just one little box, in the whole scope, right? So they have so much to consider. But there's a lot to learn though, in terms of taking that data. That's your starting point. You have you have feedback in booking.com. Easiest place to start, right? And then you can build from there. So for anyone listening to the podcast today, go and check your Wi-Fi score on booking.com. That's going to give you a fair indication of what your guests think of the whole technology experience, not just the Wi-Fi, as we said. And then it's about, okay, how can you get more granular and get more feedback on that moving forward?
That's super. I do think another thing actually is if you're a hotel that actually has a customer survey, that you survey your customers directly, break down the technology even more. Like, if booking.com are doing it, why wouldn't you do it yourself? And you'll quickly gain fantastic insights into what the needs and wants of your customers are, and it'll allow you to really make more informed decisions when it comes to investment, particularly in the area of technology, because it is such a complex area, and it is about finding the right partner who's going to take you on that journey and who's going to work with you every step of the way. Because it should never be about selling you a solution and walking away. It is about a partnership that is long-term, and you need to find that. But I think, two very simple things is exactly what you say: going into booking.com, look at your Wi-Fi score, but take a look at it further, like break it down, see how you can separate this out and
Yeah.
and
I think
potentially increase your rankings.
that's critical. It's not going to cost much to do that. And
Mm.
what was very interesting actually on that point was if you take your OTA data, generally it's
Mm.
working off a 3-year average, right? So if you say I've upgraded my Wi-Fi last month, I'm not seeing my score moving. It's very hard to move that score in a short period of time because you have a
Yeah.
3-year block of data that you got to move, right?
Yeah.
And look, personally speaking, I think that all OTAs should have a momentum score for guest feedback as well as that 3-year view. I think the 3-year view is very fair, but I do think it would be cool to have a separate 100-day view. So what's the momentum in the last 100 days for this property? Because that incentivizes making investments.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it incentivizes the industry to keep evolving and delivering a better experience. So you're not waiting 3 years to see the impact. If I'm
Yeah.
then booking online, I can see, wow, well, yes, the 3-year average mightn't be what I would like, but
Yeah.
actually the 100-day average, they're making a difference and happily book there. But by adding that layer of that customized survey and feedback, it has allowed our customers to see like a 30, 60, 90-day graph as well. So they're not
Mm-hmm.
as concerned about the 3-year. They have real data for the 30, 60, 90. They know they're
Mm-hmm.
going in the right direction. And that will ultimately wash through over time. So that's a huge advantage of customizing your own reviews and going deeper, as we said.
Yeah, no, it's great. Hopefully somebody from booking.com will be listening to this and will see the advantage of the 100-day as well as the 3 years as well. So you never know. We might see that yet.
Yeah.
No, that's great because I think, look, at the end of the day, what we're here to do is to try and simplify what technology looks like, what it can deliver within the hospitality sector. And like here we are sharing nuggets of information that anybody can do. And it's something you could do today. And that's super important because we all know the challenges. And, this is January. Start the new year afresh and review those systems and see how you can make improvements and then determine, okay, well, where do I need to start with regards to the approach for the guest technology? Because it's becoming more and more important.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's a good point for us at this point to wrap up with 3 key takeaways, Helena. So your first one.
My first one is find the right partner. Who's going to work with you every step of the way, who's going to advise you to where to invest your money. And it shouldn't always be about the bells and whistles. It's about working with you in partnership, understanding what your needs are, understanding what your budget is, and then seeing if the service, the solution can be delivered based on that. But a long-term partnership like that just is so essential because we all have a vision when it comes to our business, and people more and more are developing their digital guest journey vision. So find the right partner and work with them every step of the way.
Yeah, and then add to that, the tech stack is so big. Find a partner who will integrate, very open to integrations, is prepared to customize if necessary, right? Because you've built a tech stack over many years and its flexibility is critical here to get everything to plug in and work together to maximize your return on investment. I would say then those couple of other nuggets, right? So layer on top your own method of getting guest feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Break down your technology categories in particular to
Yep.
become really pointed on where you should invest. As we said earlier, if you only have a Wi-Fi category, guests are putting all of their technology feedback into that Wi-Fi category. The other benefit you get there is those momentum scores, that 30, 60, 90. So you can start to see very quickly, is this investment making a difference? And the final thing is the data is out there. We'll put links to it in the show notes. If you get this right, it will have a very positive impact on occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. So I think,
Brilliant.
Helena, we've covered enough, for
We
episode.
have. You forgot one thing though. Follow the podcast.
Very good.
And
Okay.
we'll do our very best to keep it as simple and as informative and as engaging as possible. And feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or through IMS directly if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss. Because look, at the end of the day, we're here to educate and to support. So yeah, let us know what you need and we'll do our best to support you along the way. Thanks a million for that, Denis.
Yeah, thanks, Helena. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you in episode 2. Thank you.